Hello everyone, Trophy Wine Hunter. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is a bit of a different video. In addition to my suggestion that everyone should really taste wines themselves, another thing I really like to suggest to people is to go to your local liquor store and treat it like a library. I do this all the time. And just going to the liquor store, looking at labels and just assessing the label. You have to do that when you buy wines, when you're at restaurants, when you're at auction. And sometimes you don't have your phone on there and someone will just give you a wine. Maybe there's nothing on Vivino about that wine. So it's good to have that kind of just test yourself and just go through and look at each wine and kind of just deduce things from it. I do this all the time, spend hours at the liquor store, not buying a wine, but just looking at wines. And so I think that's just a very useful process. So I'm going to go through this process here. This is our Barolo section in our local liquor store. And I'm going to go through the wines, a couple of them, and just look through them. So let's start with the wine on the left. The producer is Barolo 2017. It's a Barolo from the Bussia region, and it's called Darda the Rose. So this producer, Barolo started in 1993. Bussia is a MGA or a vineyard site in Monteforte d'Alba, which is the village. It's between 220 and 460 meters above sea level. So by the price, $87.99, I'm going to deduce that that's probably going to be at the lower end of the altitude scale in Bussia. Next to it, 2017 Marcarini. It comes a Barolo and the Brunate. So Brunate is a single vineyard or MGA in the La Mora village, about 300 meters above sea level. So about similar, I'm going to say, you'll see the difference in price, $105 compared to $87. So I'm going to deduce from that probably Marcarini is a better known producer than Barolo. Vintage is the same. Bussia and Brunate are both famous vineyards. Probably the Brunate vineyard is a little bit higher up on the altitude scale. Next wine is the Chiara Bocis 2018 Barolo from Villanueva. So again, it's just a matter of figuring out what Chiara Bocis is. What is that? That's the winery name. Barolo is the region. And then Villanueva, what is that? So it's not actually a single vineyard. It's actually just a trade name. And this is the grapes are taken from 6 vineyards from 3 different villages, Barolo, Monteforte, and Serralonga d'Alba, 340 meters above sea level. So that's probably why you see a bit bigger price, $125. Again, probably the altitude is a little bit higher. Next set of wines. So the first one is Geeking. This is 2018 from the Rivera region. So Geeking is the producer. 2018 vintage. 2018 and 2017 vintage, I think, are both pretty decent vintages, but very similar in terms of ratings. And then Rivera. So Rivera is a single vineyard in the Novello village, and Novello is one of the 11 villages in Barolo. So this might be an interesting wine to drink because I don't drink a lot from Novello. The wine next to it is the Aurelio Settimo. It says Reserva 2016 Barolo Rocco della Annunziata. So it's just going through the label. What does everything mean? What is Aurelio Settimo? That's the producer. Reserva 2016. What does Reserva mean? 5 years of aging compared to 3 years of aging in regular Barolo. 2016. I think it's a better vintage, rated a better vintage than 17 and 18. So everything, these are check marks. It's like, wow, this is a Reserva. It's a great vintage. Rocco della Annunziata, that is a single vineyard that is in the La Mora region. The La Mora region, in my research, generally drinks younger. So these are all like check marks, and that kind of piques my interest. At this point, I would go to look at the Wine Spectator rating to see if that kind of confirms that I think it's a pretty good wine. And lo and behold, the Wine Spectator rating of this wine, 95 points. It's like, wow. So that would probably be the wine I would buy. And this is how I assess wines when I'm buying them, or when I'm ordering them at restaurants, or when I'm buying at auction. Next set of wines, you have Renato Ratti. So it's a 2018 Barolo from Marcanasco. So again, Renato Ratti, that's the producer. Barolo 2018. What is Marcanasco? If you see a little R there, that looks like a registered trademark, so that's probably just a trade name, and that's the case here. It is basically the name of the wine, and it comes from different villages or different vineyards in the village of La Mora. And so that reflects in the price. It's $74.99. It's a blend of a lot of different vineyards or grapes in the La Mora region. Next one, the next one is Luigi Bodana 2018 Barolo from Bodana. But you see Gedivara at the end there. So this is kind of neat. Luigi Bodana is the namesake of a MGA or a single vineyard called Bodana in the Serralunga d'Alba region. And it was purchased by Gedivara in 2009. It's only about 4 hectares, so it's almost like a monopole. And so that's a pretty interesting wine to me. And then next to it is another Gedivara line, 2017 from Bricco della Violo. So again, Gedivara is the producer, and then Bricco della Violo, that is a single vineyard. I believe it's from the Barolo village. It's about 400 to 480 meters above sea level. I like high altitude Barolo, and so and Bricco is another great word. Bricco means hilltop, so this wine would be of interest to me because it's at $105. So again, you might be saying, Trophy, this is easy for you because you know all this. I don't know all of this. I just do research on it, and then now it's just, if you see, we're going through all these wines, each bite individually, and you start to pick up kind of codes, and you get familiar with wording, with vineyards, with producers. It all kind of makes sense, and that's how you kind of learn about wines. I think just to me, this is the fun way of learning instead of just looking at flashcards. To me, to actually feel and touch the bottles and go to the liquor store, just check out bottles, is really fun. Next two wines, you see on the left, you see Barali Fratelli Barolo, Barolo Trinato, but you don't see any vintage on it. And then you see Vino Aromatizzato. So what's this? So again, was not familiar with this, and so this is a chance for me to learn something. So Barolo Trinato is actually a sweet wine, and it was used for medicinal purposes. So it's what they call aromatized wine that's produced with Barolo wine and then enriched with China, Calisa, bark, rhubarb, and gentian root. So it's kind of a sweeter drink, and I guess it would use as a dessert wine or an aperitif. So it's a different type of wine. So that's why it doesn't have a vintage. So it's neat. Personally, I don't think I would try it yet. Next to it is Casa e di Mirafiore 2016 Barolo. So it doesn't say anything other than Casa e di Mirafiore, so that's the producer, and it just says Barolo. So to me, that is probably a more general wine, and that's the case. The grapes here come from Serralunga d'Alba region, so it can be anywhere within it. It's kind of like a blended wine with grapes blended from anywhere. That doesn't mean it's not good. It just means it's not as specific as some of these single vineyard MGA type wines. So the price reflects that, $70.99. Pretty good price. 2016 is a great vintage, so maybe I would check that out too. By the way, the last picture that I had with the Gedivara, with the wine that I thought was good, again, I checked the rating, 95 point Wine Spectator. It's kind of neat when you kind of do this and you just do some deduction, and then you actually find out that, oh, the quality wines that you think are quality actually are. So it's kind of neat. Next set of wines, we have again Giovanni Rossi, which is the producer, Barolo, and this is 2017, and they actually say Del Comune de Serralunga d'Alba. So that probably means that these grapes come from all over Serralunga d'Alba, which is a village, one of the 11 villages. And so it's going to be a blend of different vineyards. $60.99, and that reflects in the price. So you'll see most of these lower priced wines in Barolo are blends. And so that's, you can get in. It doesn't mean it's any worse. It's just not as site specific as some of the MGA wines. And then next to it is a kind of an interesting wine. It's the producer's Casetta, and it's 2011. And Casanere, you'd think with the price, this is probably just a brand, but in fact, Casanere is an MGA. It's a single vineyard in La Mora. It's 2011. So 2011 is not as good a vintage. I think it's 16, 17, or 18. And so the price reflects that, $66.99. But it is a single vineyard, and it is a Barolo. So maybe you take a shot at this wine. It's, you know, again, for entry-level Barolo, not everyone wants to spend $120 on a Barolo. This is not a bad wine. And so I don't think you're going to get, with this price, a 95-point wine in Wine Spectator. I haven't checked the rating on these wines. But if I was just starting out, just trying to try out Barolo, I think I would choose wines like this one and the Giovanni Rossi and the Miraflore. I want to clarify what I've said before. I've referred to MGAs as single vineyard sites. They're not really. They should be more described as subregions, and then they also have within those subregions still a lot of variation with single vineyard sites. So why I make this up? Because the next producer you'll see is from Caterno Fitino, and we have 3 wines here, all from Caterno Fitino 2018. The one on the left is Ginestra, Vino Sori Ginestra. The one in the middle is Mosconi Vina Ped, and then the one on the right is Ginestra Vina del Gri. So what does this all mean? So again, Caterno Fitino is the producer. That's easy. The vintage is 2018. It's a Barolo wine. So Ginestra is actually a MGA, or a subregion within the Monteforte d'Alba region. And then Vina Sori Ginestra, that's the actual vineyard site, the name of the vineyard site where these grapes come from. Likewise, the one on the right, it also comes from the MGA or subregion of Ginestra, and the actual vineyard site it comes from is Vina del Gri. And then the one in the middle, it's comes from the subregion of Mosconi. This is all in Monteforte d'Alba, which is one of the 11 villages in Barolo. And then the site that it comes from is Vina Ped. So again, it's useful to, I think, test yourself and have this in your mind and get this clear in your mind. I think the reason why these are higher end wines is not unlike the other wines that we've reviewed that have MGAs that come from MGA or a subregion. These actually come from a actual named vineyard, so it's even a smaller place, location of the grapes. So I guess more structured and more typical of the region. So from what I read, Ginestra is the most brooding of the wines. Then Vina del Gri is, because of the higher sand content, it's more fragrant, and Mosconi is going to be minerally with dried herbs and dark fruits. I hope this has been a useful exercise and video, and I hope that you will continue to watch my channel. Until next time, happy drinking.